Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 9th Cyber Guide live chat this year. We're really excited to have some amazing special guests this evening, and we're going to learn a little bit about what a day in the life of a cadet is like. So if you've been to a live chat before, we talk about a lot of different things here at eCYBERMISSION, everything from building your mission folder and your project to learning how to build a strong experiment, to even looking at how to design a prototype. And my favorite live chats are always the ones where we learn a little bit about the day in the life of STEM experts. And today we're going to learn a little bit more about cadet life. So thank you so much, special guests, for joining us. We're really excited to have you here. We do get a lot of questions at eCYBERMISSION about what a cadet even is. And so based on my knowledge, a cadet is someone training to be an officer. You learn a lot about leadership, teamwork, and those are all qualities that you guys can apply to your projects and your teams as you're working on eCYBERMISSION. So I'm really excited to have you here today. My name is Lauren. You might remember me from previous live chats. I'm the volunteer program specialist at eCYBERMISSION, and I'm joined by staff member Catherine and Naomi tonight so we can answer your questions. And just to get started, we're going to jump right in and hear first from some cadets at West Point. So West Point is a really big name if you've heard of military academies. It was founded in 1802 and one of the oldest of the 5 U.S. service academies. I've actually been to West Point. It's in a beautiful location, 50 miles north of New York City. And we're really excited to hear a little bit about what a day in the life is like at West Point. So to start us off, I'd like to welcome Cadet Hebert to open our conversation. Thank you for joining us this evening. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what it's like to be a West Point cadet?
So my name is Catherine Hebert. I go by Katie. I'm from Coral Springs, Florida, and here at West Point, I'm a life science major. I'm in my 2nd year right now, and I'm also on the powerlifting team here, which is one of the many extracurriculars you can join. This picture is me and my brother, who also went to West Point, and this is his when he graduated. So I'm kind of just following in his footsteps. But if you could go to the next slide, I can talk a little bit more about like STEM at West Point. So as I said before, I'm a life science major, which is, I would say, one of the more difficult majors here, but I really enjoy it. I love all the biology, chemistry classes. There's a lot of opportunities for research, which I think is really important, especially for undergrad. Right now I'm doing research with Lieutenant Colonel Kick, and we have been working on it this is our 2nd semester working on it now. Basically, we're working on building a microscope that can take a lot of pictures of bacteria and bacteriophages and how they interact. So I've taken a class on microscopy, which is offered here at West Point, and I really enjoyed that. We were able to build our own microscopes and understand how they work. And that helped me with my other classes because now when I'm using microscopes, I understand how they work a lot better. I also was able to participate in a STEM camp called CLD STEM over the summer, where kids from all over the country could sign up, and we were able to teach them a number of STEM topics and they could ask about West Point. So that was also really rewarding. As I said, there's a lot of opportunities in the CLS department, specifically research, like the pictures on the side. We have so much equipment here. Like we have a room just full of expensive microscopes and things like you look at and you don't even know what they do. But it's really interesting to just get a tour and see all of the opportunities and research that you could get into. You just have to ask and you can join a project. So I really appreciated that. My typical day is full of classes. So we wake up, around, we have to have a formation at 7 in the morning. So we wake up pretty early. eat breakfast. I have classes until about 4 in the afternoon. And then there's extracurriculars. Like I said, I'm on the powerlifting team. So I'll do that from like 4 to 6. And then the rest of the night is usually homework. It's pretty busy, but you can always go out with friends on weekends and find things that you're interested in. And like, it's not like the most fun college, but if you enjoy it, you can make it fun, I think. So that's me. That's my day.
Thank you, Cadet Hebert. And I'm sorry I said your name wrong. Hopefully I got it a little better this time. What is the most rewarding thing about being at West Point so far?
For me, I really I really enjoy the academic side of things. So I really enjoy the like research opportunities here and just being able to yeah, they force you to take a lot of STEM classes, but I really enjoyed them. So just having access to all of this equipment and like being able to go in whenever you want and work on your projects, I really appreciated that. And having like mentors that are able to relate, like being in the Army and being in like a medical service branch, like relating STEM to actually being in the Army. I really appreciate like learning about that.
Awesome. One more question. Do you have a favorite class that you're taking this semester?
My favorite class right now, well, I only have one like life science related class right now, so I guess that would be my favorite. I'm taking genetics, which is pretty interesting. It's a lot more difficult than I expected, but I'm learning a lot. It's a lot more in depth than like your typical biology class, so I would say that's my favorite class right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cadet Hebert. I really appreciate your time and sharing about your experiences at West Point. Sounds like a really cool place, even though it probably gets pretty cold. Our next guest I'd like to welcome is Cadet Hurtado. Could you tell us a little bit about what your experience is like at West Point and what a normal day is like for you?
Of course. So my name is Jorge Hurtado. I come from Guaynabo, Puerto Rico, which is a little island off in the Caribbean. I graduated in 2020 from high school, and I am a life science major as well with the pre-med track. So I'm just like Katie, which is the version of biology for us here at West Point. I intend to branch in the medical corps. I want to be a surgeon in the Army. Some of my extracurricular activities include Sandhurst, which is a really cool team where you do military skills and you compete at the end of the year. So it's a really Army sport here at the Academy. I'm also in the Pre-Med Society and I do a lot of research. So just like Katie, research here at the Academy is a huge part of any STEM major's time at West Point. It mostly focuses on lab work, writing papers, research papers, and being published. So even as a sophomore in college, we already have a few papers published, which is huge, especially if you want to go to medical school or go on to do a master's degree. My research focuses mostly on protein misfolding diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. We're trying to find ways to treat those diseases, which a lot of people in the world are trying to find out the mechanisms and how they work to be able to cure them. And here in the Army, we're trying to do our part by focusing on research in those areas. So it's pretty cool how we work with big diseases that you think only the smartest people in the world would work with, but it's a team effort. So we're putting in our grain of salt or grain of sand to help cure this disease. Next slide. So here at the Academy, we have 36 majors to choose from. Most of them are STEM related. Everyone will graduate with a Bachelor of Science because everyone has to take science classes, math classes, engineering classes. So we are all STEM majors here at the Academy. Even if you major in English, you still have to take chemistry, you still have to take biology or physics. So we're all STEM majors here at the Academy. We also work with like 2-day schedules where instead of being a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Tuesday and Thursday schedule, it alternates between a day 1 and a day 2, depending on your classes. And the best part about the academy is the amount of opportunities you have for internships in the summers. So this summer, I'm going to Italy to do research over at the University of Florence, which is insane. I never expected to go to Europe, especially here at the academy, just how busy it gets. But I got the opportunity to go to Italy this summer, and I'm going to be working with researchers from the University of Florence to keep working on the Alzheimer's and Parkinson's project. Next slide. And on the military side of things, West Point is a military academy. So we have a lot of military integration. My research, again, it focuses a lot on the readiness and the wellness of human beings, which is the Army's main force. We are the army of people to defend the people of the United States. So that's our research. But we also have military trainings on weekends. We have summer trainings, which are really fun. You go to the field, learn how to shoot a gun, learn how to do first aid. You go to the river and you start rowing. So it's a really, really fun like summer camp experience, but you're doing things that are important for the Army. Another opportunity that West Point offers are MIAS, which is this little badge you see right here. It's called the Air Assault Badge. That's when you go to school for 10 days in the summer and you end up graduating by jumping off a helicopter and rappelling off of it. So it's really cool. And you get those opportunities like parachuting, jumping off helicopters, going to ranger school after graduation. So West Point really prepares you to have both a good time academically and militarily.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was really cool. And it sounds like you have a really exciting summer ahead.
Yeah.
2 questions for you as well. What is the most rewarding part for you being at West Point?
The most rewarding thing is honestly the opportunities that West Point has opened up for me, because West Point is free of charge. The tuition is fully paid by the government of the United States. So it's really nice that I'm not paying for college or being in debt like the rest of my friends are. And I still get to do what I love, which is do research, focus on academics, and aspire to go to med school and to be a doctor. And I am doing all these opportunities, taking them and just doing my best to push forward and be like first generation in my family to come out to the States and become a professional.
That's awesome. And what's your favorite class this semester?
Ooh. So my favorite class is definitely not genetics, because genetics, again, like Katie said, it's pretty hard. However, I do love organic chemistry. Organic chemistry it's definitely a hard class. It's a filter class, which means that a lot of people start dropping out of the pre-med track because of that class, just how hard it is, but it's challenging and I love that class. So it's
Awesome.
a great class.
That's so cool. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing your experiences, and West Point sounds like an awesome, awesome spot where you get a lot of leadership opportunities, and the research opportunities sound amazing. So good luck this summer, and thanks so much for joining.
Thank you, ma'am.
Our next cadet guests this evening are actually coming to us all the way from Indiana. They're at Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, which was established in 1874. And the Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology specializes in engineering, math, and science. So we thought it would be awesome to have them come on and talk a little bit about their experiences as a cadet at ROTC. So joining us from Rose-Hulman, we have Cadet Andrade. If you would join us and tell us a little bit about what your experience is like and what a typical day is like, we'd love to hear a little bit more about ROTC.
All righty. As Laura had introduced me, my name is Cadet Tatiana Andrade. I go by Tati as well. So if you could go on to the next slide, I think that's where we can start. All righty. So all these pictures that I have here are kind of about my life and what are important to me as a a cadet in the ROTC program. So essentially, I get to be in a whole big thing with special teams like Ranger Challenge. In the large picture where I'm holding my thumb up, we actually rode on a Black Hawk that day, which was pretty cool. Didn't think that we'd ever be able to do that as a cadet. There are some people in service who actually never are able to do that ever. So that was a really cool opportunity. In terms of my personal life, I do like to stay healthy. It just makes me feel good, keeps me going about my day. And in terms of what I look like outside of uniform, completely different, I would say. Very bright, colorful jewelry, all that fun stuff. So I think that's something also really important about me that I would say. And then in terms of ROTC, why it's like a little bit different from West Point, well, ROTC is the Reserve Officers Training Corps, and the only thing that I would say would, like, we have our life as a student kind of separate, and the Army thing also separate. There isn't like quite of a big joining as it would be at like West Point and things like that. So next slide, please. Every day, so we form up at 05:55 every morning to conduct PT. So it's before any of our normal, your normal day-to-day activities that you would normally do. And so I would do PT in the morning, do all of my classes, have lunch. Depending on your schedule, you may have class until 5, but if you're extra lucky, you may get a block from 8 to noon, and then you're done. So it all depends on how you register and what type of major you're in as well. It also depends on things like that. And if you take a look at that notebook, on the left-hand side is my thermal homework, and on the right-hand side is me drawing out a platoon attack. So I was studying those at the exact same time because those are often of what my evenings look like. I do have to have my academic commitment, but also my ROTC commitment. And then the picture with all of the girls in it, I am a part of a sorority. So that's also incorporated into my day-to-day activities in terms of chapters and meetings and things like that. So next slide, please. What I study, so I am a chemical engineering major. How is that different from chemistry? Well, it's more of applying chemistry onto engineering topics. So things such as distilleries, pharmaceuticals, things like that. And on the picture on the left, it is spectroscopy. So in long story short, it's kind of when you send a light through a molecule, and it causes vibrations, of which we're able to see and kind of analyze of what type of molecule that is. And then on the right is me producing a graph of different types of materials, how they work in a specific type of program. Next slide, please. Oh, and this is definitely of a more continuation. On the left is topics concerning physical chemistry. That is a really hard topic that I'm currently in right now, but we're getting through it. So far, it's been really interesting, but it kind of dives into quantum mechanics, thermo, and it kind of involves all of those things all together. And on the right here, it's a TLC lab in terms of separating different types of molecules and kind of being able to see that visually. So thank you. And these are more images of me and my life in terms of sorority, Army, and what I do as a whole and how it's able to build me up of who I am right now. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I have the same question for you. What's the most rewarding part of being a part of ROTC?
Man, so I come from a family of all enlisted, so they pick on me a lot. People who are still in as master sergeants, people who got out years ago, but for me to stand here as more like a legacy, I think is super cool, and I'm super excited for commissioning when they're all going to be there in their uniforms, but they'll have to, like, not that it means everything, but that they'll have to like salute me, which is something that I'm not like excited for, but it'll be really cool to see basically of everything that they put into me, I've been able to kind of push out as well.
That's so cool. What's your favorite class this semester?
This semester, right now I'm taking applications of heat and mass transfer. So the way to describe that is kind of if you have a system, let's say we have a liquid that has too much sulfuric acid, right? We're going to try to separate those two liquids to purify those in a way using other liquids or insoluble gases, things like that, and that's the class I'm currently taking right now. And so far, that one is my favorite one.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining and telling us a little bit about your experiences. I love hearing about what a day in the life is like. So thank you. I appreciate it. We have one more guest this evening. We're going to welcome Cadet Jacobson, who's also from Rose-Hulman. If you could tell us a little bit about what your typical day is like and what it's like to be in ROTC, we'd love to hear about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So like I was introduced, my name is Cadet Andrew Jacobson. I'm a mechanical and aerospace engineer here at Rose-Hulman. And I know that we're supposed to talk about our life, being a cadet. But I think it's really important for a lot of you guys out there to understand, what it takes to get here. And I've actually gone down the West Point track as well for a while, so it's kind of neat to see both sides of things. So starting off when I was in high school, I come from a really small town of 500 people in rural Minnesota. So basically up here in Canada. So I did football, speech, orchestra, track and field. Like you see, I was a thrower. I was a lineman in football, also played linebacker. I love doing math and science. So like you guys can see some of my activities. Me playing football. On the lower left is me and all of my boys that I still teach high school debate from here or just online. So some of my guys. I have a lot of personal projects outside of school during those times. So I made my own blacksmith forge. I love doing carpentry. We've remodeled a 1975 Corvette Stingray. When I was in high school, I was in the top 20% of my application class for West Point. So I got to do the summer's leadership experience. So on the top left, you get to see a picture of me somewhere in New York with my mom. And then on the bottom right, right after high school, I moved out of the house. And that's a picture of me and my buddy Jackie. We're up on a mountain out in Colorado. So it's just, there's a lot of flexibility and a lot of time. Sometimes that I do regret not going to West Point, but I'm very happy with the decision that I have right now. So speaking of which, we can go on to the next slide and talk about that right now. So being a student, it's really nice to be a normal student at college. We do have formations as a cadet, but outside of that, I study mechanical and aerospace engineering. So we're working the mechanical engineering aspect of things. We can basically work on whatever. We basically speak every engineering flavor. So we can speak electrical engineering, we can speak mechanical engineering. We're really the glue that can hold a team of all engineers together. In my specifics, my dad was a pilot, civilian side, not in the Air Force, but he instilled the love of aerodynamics and making things fly. So I study aerospace engineering so that hopefully I can follow up and do some defense contracting once I'm out. Outside of the Army, we get into a lot of shenanigans and outside of school. So you can see in the bottom right, I have a really great barbershop. If anybody come, I give free haircuts. That's just some of the Rotc boys that I'm with. My roommate Tyler's in the upper right there, going half bald. In the upper right, I'm in the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity. So that's a picture with me and two of my Rotc friends. I was dressed up as a really awful Bob Ross there, and just having a good time. On spring break, we were able to go to Florida. So we have a lot of freedom to go wherever we want, whenever we want. So we got to go to Disneyland. And on the bottom left is a picture of me and some more of the Rotc guys. We're watching our Rose-Hulman football team play in the HCAC the championships, going to the national playoffs. Rose-Hulman is the #1 undergrad engineering college for the last 23 years in a row. So we have a lot of legacy behind us, and it's really fantastic. We have a lot of friends and fun, just going out on the weekends or going on trips, going on different competitions teams. Like I'm on the design, build, fly team where we make RC planes and fly them around. I also play in a church on Sunday. I play my fiddle. I also sometimes play in the orchestra here at Rose-Hulman, and just, generally have a good time weightlifting. I'm doing my studies when I need to. The day is pretty limited, but I feel like Cadet Andrade went over that pretty well. It's reflective for a lot of people. We generally have classes only about 4 hours a day, depending on your schedule. So we have a lot of free time. We're not locked up doing formations and when to have supper. So it's a pretty good deal. So going on to our life as a cadet, we can go on to the next slide. So being a cadet, it's really an extension of your classes and a lab. So on Wednesdays, we have a class as MS2, or I'm a sophomore. So we have class from 2 to 4, and then we have lab from 4 to 6. So at lab, we practice infantry tactics, preparing for our cadet summer training, physical training 3 days a week at 5:50 in the morning. We'll go down to the SRC and do preparations to, get in shape. There's a lot of social aspects of Army ROTC. So here we're getting together a whole floor of cadets. So we're going to take over one half of one of the floors in one of the buildings and just really be able to be a part of the team. There's a lot of scholarships. So much like at West Point, at Rose, if you get a full ride scholarship, Rose-Hulman, the Army will pay for your tuition, but Rose-Hulman will actually cover room and board. So on top of your monthly stipend by the Army, it's you're making money going to college, and it's a really great feeling. There's amazing summer opportunities as well. So I will be going this summer, I'll be going to the Air Assault School, and I'm hoping to walk on to the Sapper School, which is the Combat Engineer Special Forces School, where you get to go blow things up and learn basic engineering tasks. It's a really great time. Last summer, I was the opposition force for the cadet summer training. So those are the two pictures. The picture on the top left is me firing the 240 Bravo. And down below, we were doing an obstacle course. Our program is pretty great things in the last few years. We've been nominated for the #1 Army ROTC program in the entire nation. And we recently won that award, the MacArthur Award. Now we're going against the top Air Force. So hopefully we'll be able to win that. The results are still out. But we've also done really well in Ranger Challenge. We had our best place in 20 years. And the picture on the bottom right is a picture of that. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cadet Jacobson. I really appreciate you sharing about your experiences. Sounds like you are very busy, but I appreciate you taking the time to chat tonight. And the same goes for all of you. So we don't have a ton of questions at the moment, but I do have one that anybody can jump in and answer if you like. Our eCYBERMISSION students do a lot of group projects. So has anyone worked on a group project this semester that has been either challenging or rewarding that you can share about? And anybody can jump in.
Yes, and actually, it is not directly related to engineering, but it is an integral part in engineering. So in Rose-Hulman, you have to take a class called Technical Communications. So you're going to be working with people who are not going to all be engineers, right? So you need to be able to communicate science, long science words into things where people can understand, Right. So this year, and I actually stayed in the project after the fact as well. I'm still actually currently working on it. Was to essentially create a deliverable that will go out to the local farmers to get them to adopt modern practices and farming techniques. And the reason why this is such a large project is because oftentimes farmers will be afraid of putting their farmland at risk, or trying something new that they have been doing for forever, and being able to kind of create that connection between scientist and farmer towards a common goal, I would say. And I'm still actually working on this project right now. And in terms of communications and group projects, you have to work with people with all sorts of different ideas, backgrounds. So being able to work with others, see what they're coming from, and put yourselves in shoes that you've never ever been in before to create a, at this point, a successful environment. So.
That's such a cool project. I love that. That's so awesome. A lot of the students in eCYBERMISSION are working on community projects that have some benefit. So it sounds like that is a very practical application at the college level of how you could benefit your community too. One other question for everybody, anyone can jump in for this one. Do you guys have any lessons that you learned during your time about leadership and teamwork or teamwork? If not, that's okay, but anyone can jump in on this one.
I can take that. You
Oh,
want to take it, Andrew?
first.
Well, real quick. So leadership is just like the definition clearly states that you're there for your team. You have to be open to receiving criticism. You have to be open to receiving a lot of backlash, but you're going to push through it and you're going to accomplish the mission. So you have to trust your team. It's all about building cohesion. It just means good teams, good relationships in order to accomplish a mission, a goal, or a project. So leadership and teamwork are really intertwined. And from what I've learned here at the Academy, you have to be open to other ideas, even though they might not match yours. You still have to be open to them, understand them, and empathize with them. That's the hardest part, understanding and empathizing, being able to apply them to yourself and learn from them. You have to always be open to learning.
Yeah, I think you did a really good job of answering that. But I think in the same case, leadership is kind of what we do. I mean, the Army ROTC, their whole motto is leadership excellence, and teamwork is really applied to that in engineering and science. For as many engineers get a bad rap of just being, maybe a little social awkward, we have to work as a team. So team and leadership is really being there for your team 100%, and just listening to what the team wants and trying to achieve a common goal. I'm trying to create that unity is the biggest thing. Just trying to get everybody on the same page. And if everybody sees the mission and is inspired by it, it's a really easy measure to get from where you're at to where you're going.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that you can only do when you are in uniform. It's something that you do outside of uniform as well. So if you're doing a group project or in a specific club, it's not you may be leading in that club, it's also leading outside of that area too, in all aspects of your life, being able to kind of create that environment where people are going to look at you and ask you for advice, ask you for help, ask you for steps and guidance towards whatever. And it may not even be Army related, it could be with schoolwork, it could be with a personal issue. Just the fact that they are coming to you just kind of shows that you showed that you have that leadership bearing for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your insight. I know that a lot of our students will really need that advice too, as it's kind of tricky when you're learning how to work with the group, especially after everything's been virtual and with COVID. But being able to see the other person's viewpoint and really hear other perspectives is so important. So thank you. I have one other question for our West Point folks, and then one other question for our Rose-Hulman cadets as well. So for West Point, what advice do you have for any students? And our students are in 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, but what advice do you have for any students who are interested in applying to West Point once they get to that stage?
A pretty obvious thing would just be to like prepare early, because I didn't apply until like well into my senior year, and I was stressing out. It was a long process. I like didn't know if I got in at like the last second. So I would say start your application early, but also keep your options open and don't just like, say I'm only gonna go to West Point, nowhere else. Like I think apply to a good amount of schools and like just start your application early, learn about like all the requirements once you get there too, because you don't want to get there and then be like, oh, this is not what I expected, because I think a lot of us go through that at one point or another. So know what you're getting into and just be prepared.
Yeah, and also for you guys that you're in middle school, be open to learning. Like I said earlier, ask your teachers whatever questions you have. Always be curious. You have to keep asking questions. If you're in class and you want to know more about a certain topic, ask questions. Google it. We have the internet now, so finding answers is so easy, and it will help you become a better person, a better scholar, and a better STEM major in the future. And also, one last tip, once you come to high school, you're going to start taking AP classes, which are the advanced placement classes. Definitely take AP chemistry, because you're going to thank me when you're a freshman taking chemistry in college. AP chemistry really helped me out, and it made my freshman year 10,000 times easier. So I know it's the hardest AP class in high school, and it's notorious for being one of the hardest tests, but it's definitely worth the struggle once you get to college.
Awesome, excellent tips. Well, thank you so much, both of you, and good luck at West Point. Thanks for jumping on this evening and for your time. For our Rose-Hulman cadets, I do have a similar question for you. What advice do you have for students who are interested in joining ROTC? And are there opportunities for high school students in ROTC that you know of?
In terms of preparation, you like how the other cadet said earlier, you do have to prepare a little bit early so that you're not so stressed out. Definitely, that's something that I did too, because not only are you applying for colleges and taking SAT, ACTs, you're also doing that exact same thing for that whole process too. Just being able to take one step at a time and to take a deep breath that everything will be okay. I didn't have anyone tell me that. I was a panic mess when it came all around. So just take a deep breath. Everything's gonna be okay. And in terms of like preparation and to getting into Rose, explore those STEM things. Like I took Chem 1, Chem 2, Physics 1, Physics 2 in high school, right? And I would take them because you love to do it, right? I wouldn't take these classes because they're going to boost your GPA or kind of get you in a higher rank, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, especially for students at Rose, they have an idea that they want to be an engineer, and they come to Rose and they realize it's not for them, which is completely okay, right? It's completely okay. But I would say, if you're curious, look into it. If you have a passion for whatever it is and you want to talk to a teacher, a prof, all our professors have emails. They'd be super happy to answer any point of view about anything. So I think listening to your curiosity and just kind of taking those steps to adhere to that for sure.
Yeah, and to bounce off that a little bit as well, you know, for any person that's interested in doing Army ROTC, I think it's really similar just for any college, whether you're going West Point or ROTC. Honestly, it's just there's a few key pillars. Number one, just be a good person. You know, nobody, whether you're gonna go down the Army track fully or if you decide it's not for you, being a good person is a really great skill to have. Being a good people person is just really everything in the civilian world and Army world. So it's a skill to have. When you're doing high school and when you're getting from the beginning, learn what you love to do and try and do that every day. Get a little piece of that. If you love doing math, do math. Take those good math classes that you can. I wasn't blessed to have a lot of AP classes at my high school. We had AP Calc and AP Human Anatomy and Physiology, and that's it. But with those opportunities that I was given, you know, I took advantage of them. And I would say that's important for everybody. Whatever you're given, take advantage of it, do it to the fullest, and just love what you do. Because at the end of the day, you're the only one that's going to have to live with your choices that you've done. And if you're going to do it, you may as well do it big and do it to your heart's content. And on it, for the last bit, there's a few opportunities for those that are interested in ROTC in high school. There is the JROTC, the Junior Army ROTC. It's really dissociated from the Army, but it does help you with those basic soldiering skills. I would suggest definitely looking into enlisting prior, so that you can be a simultaneous member program, so that you can be a cadet and be in the National Guard or Army Reserve. Or lastly, if you don't want to do either of those things, playing sports, learning how to play as a team or do drama, that's kind of where it all began for me. Being in 6th to 9th grade, you know, being on the field, learning how to take plays, being in 9th grade on the meat squad, just getting squished by all the big varsity guys. It was that's where your character really comes, and it's just general skills for life. So.
And I had one more thing to add to that. If your school doesn't have an ROTC program and you get enough students together that are interested in that program, you could possibly like bring it up to if you wanted to go that far, bring it up to the school, you know, school meetings and whatnot, and they could probably work something out. Because usually what happens is the school is too small or there's not been an interest. So if there's enough of you, in however large your school is, I'm sure that they could work something out or have something that will like substitute for that. Just because I know not, because my school did not have a JRTC program.
Awesome. Excellent advice. Well, thank you so much for joining this evening, sharing a little bit about your experiences and what it's like to be a cadet. I'm so grateful for your time, and I wish you all the very best of luck this semester. And for those students who are signed on, join us for our next live chat on Wednesday, February 23rd. From 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern time, same Zoom link as tonight. We will be talking about mission ready, countdown to submission, because we all know that those mission folders are due on March 2nd. If you have any questions in the meantime, you can email missioncontrol@eCYBERMISSION.com. Thanks so much, everybody, and have a wonderful evening. Bye.